20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city. I got you. Rep your city. I'm gonna tell you about mine. Rep your city.
It's time for us to go live, so rep your city. I really would appreciate if y'all roll with me. Feeling this music cause it makes me wanna step. And if you don't want it to, then you lying to yourself. Cause every time we party, we gon' have fun. I don't know about you, but I'ma rep where I'm from.
Rep your city. Okay. Rep your city. Let me see the mic. Rep your city. Give me the mic. Rep your city.
Welcome to the RYC Live Show this evening. My name is Artistic and I'm your host for tonight. And this is Rep Yo City Fresh Fridays. So how y'all doing today? How y'all doing this evening? Mic check, 1 2 1 2. We're back once again with another fresh episode. We're here. But before we get underway, we'd like to ask everyone if you could please do share this broadcast. Take a few moments right now to share this broadcast. It's being broadcast on you. It's streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube. So you can go to our YouTube channel at RYC Live. That's RYC Live, and you should see it being streamed on the platform of our channel live. Or you can go to Rep Your City or RYC Live on Facebook, okay? And you can share the link from our page to your page. But whatever suits you best, share this broadcast to a friend, to a family, to a crewmate. Make sure you engage with us tonight. We're going to get into a nice discussion, talk about some great Chicago hip-hop history with my man, my brother in the backstage area right now, a member of the Euphonics crew, you know what I'm saying? Going back in the days, man, as I think about this brother, I think about the good times that we've had over the years, dancing and painting and partying, you know what I'm saying? Just doing some great things here in Chicago. And, and so tonight we get a chance to talk one-on-one, face-to-face over the airwaves here and video waves here. We're broadcasting live right here in the base here in Chicago. So once again, please do share this broadcast. Also, if you'd like to be a future guest on a future show, please do send us an email to ryclive@yahoo.com. That's ryclive@yahoo.com, and someone from the team will be more than happy to get back to you and perhaps set you up for a future date to book you on a future show. So send us some comments tonight. If you have any questions, please send us some questions. We're going to get right into the discussion. It's a nice Friday night here in Chicago, and it's a blessing to be alive. We're here, we're doing it. A lot of events are going on this summer, and we look forward to it. But more importantly, guess what, y'all? We celebrate 50 years of hip hop. 50 years. Hip hop is turning 50 this year, y'all. So that is definitely a great milestone. So without further ado, let me introduce my man. Now, this brother right here is funny because he didn't went by several names. Okay, he didn't went by several names. That's why I had to ask him which name was we going with tonight, and then he pulled out one that I had never heard of. So he's going by Cali Grown now. Cali Grown, okay? And I'm going to let him explain the rest, okay? So none other than I'd like to introduce my brother, the legend, Mr. Cali Grown. Come on to the front stage.
What up?
What's
Artistic,
up,
what
my
up?
brother?
What's happening?
Good to see you, man. Welcome to the RYC Live Show.
No doubt, no doubt. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you,
Good to
my
see
brother.
you, man. It's been a minute.
I know, right?
I saw you at least the spring one time so far.
Yeah,
Yep, it was good seeing you, man. You
yes,
grew a
sir.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, good old times, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We both grown a little sideways, but you grew a little taller. You grew a little taller. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, so listen, man. I'm excited, man. I hope, and I hope the crew will share the broadcast, like I said in the beginning, to share this broadcast to everyone, share it to
Yeah.
family, friends, and crewmates.
At the minimum, I definitely will share the recording of it. I'm pretty sure some of them are tuning in because they asked me about it. But everybody got different lifestyles. Everybody got different lives. But I'm gonna share with half the world.
Yeah,
if I can.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. And so tonight we want to, because as you know, man, we all are getting older, and some of us are getting sick, and some of us are dying. And so, I think it's important for us to kind of share our stories and our legacies, with up and coming people and people in general, so as to know what we've done.
Okay, so first and foremost, I do go by Cali Grown right now. The reason I go by that name is because most people don't know I was born in California.
Okay.
I was born in Long Beach, California a long time ago on July 2nd. I am a Cancer.
Okay.
A crab. It's somewhere on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's this side, So I'm a crab, and I was born in California, home of the surfers and skaters, a couple of haters, but that's where I was born. I stayed there till I was 13, and I used to travel back and forth to Chicago as a kid because my mother and my father are both from here. So all the family reunions would be here, and man, every time I would leave here, I just felt an empty hole in my soul. I would get back to California, and although I liked the environment, the weather, the women in bikinis, I love skateboarding and all that stuff, I would always feel like something was missing. And so eventually I did move to Chicago. But in Cali, that's where I found hip hop.
Okay.
All right. So initially I was a surfer and a skater, a boogie boarder to be exact, and a skater. And that's was the most part for what I did for the most part. I used to listen to Oingo Boingo. I used to listen to Tears for Fears. I used to skate the Suicidal Tendencies. Y'all probably never heard of none of these groups, but that was my lifestyle because I was a skater, and everybody from, the Dogtown Boys, the guys up in Uptown, Uplift, to Upland. I mean, Tony Hawk and them, Steve Caballero, Christian Hosoi, all of the skaters kind of ran in a pack, and we mostly listen to heavy metal, hard rock music. And so when I was around almost 11 years old, a guy named Craig, he's one of my Facebook friends, he introduced me. His mom and him were from New York, and he showed me some videotape. He played Run DMC and the Beastie Boys for me. You know what I'm saying? He introduced me to, Beach Street. He introduced me to just about everything hip hop. I was introduced to by this guy named Craig. You know what I'm saying? And once I saw b-boying, it was like the rapping was cool, the music was cool. You know what I'm saying? I liked the graffiti art, it looked dope. But once I saw b-boying, I became super interested because, skating back then, it was hard to find places to thrash at. You would, we would break into some schools when they were let down and locked out. You know what I'm saying? When school was out, we would break into the school and we skate and thrash there. If somebody like left for the summer and their pool was empty, we would skate in there. But, skating was hard to come by. And so it made like skilling up and being able to trick real difficult. And so with b-boying, the first thing I noticed was they was on concrete and cardboard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, I could do that shit anywhere. And so I immediately got into b-boy, and I started learning about all the moves, the tricks. I started trying stuff myself. I didn't have anybody that taught me, you know, per se. So I just was winging it. I would learn how to do, you know, flares were always difficult for me because my wrists were weak.
Okay.
But I could do windmills right off the back. I learned how to do tracks, slight head spins. I never could hold them too long, but slight head spins, swipes, you know, 90s, 2000s, you know what I'm saying? But I'm learning this stuff by myself. I don't have nobody to teach me because Craig, although he was into hip hop, he didn't break.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I fell in love with it. And then I went to my first big event. It was Houdini. It was Grandmaster Flash. It was Run DMC was there. UTFO. And it was this big concert that came to Long Beach. And this was like, I want to say it was probably 87, 86.
Okay.
Maybe.
Was it a rap concert or was that the Fresh Fest?
It was the Fresh Fest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah,
so
because I was going to say that sounded like the lineup for the Fresh Fest.
Yep. And so I went to that concert with Craig. I lost him in the first 5 minutes of us getting in there.
Oh,
but
wow.
I found a b-boy circle.
Right.
And I was just breaking the whole damn night. I don't even think I might have looked up when Roxanne Shante came on stage or something. But that was about it. I didn't even see that damn concert.
Okay, so let's step back a little bit to give the viewers some clarity. So what year can you recall when you got into skating?
I got into skating probably around 1981. I was a kid. Right. I was tiny because I'm not, you know, too much younger than you, but I'm a little bit younger than you. So, you know, being a 70s baby and then jumping right into skating in the 80s was a tough transition. And I was on ramps and pools. I wasn't skating just street. You know, at that time, street skaters, we called them freestylers.
Okay.
That was called freestyle. And we didn't even consider that like anything. It was like they cool, they spin around and stuff. But the only person that was really, really good at it was Rodney Mullen.
Okay.
But everybody in California that was about skating was on them ramps and them pools. That's where you got your, you know, you caught it.
That's where it started in California, right?
Yeah, well, from what I know, you know what I'm saying. But I know Powell and Peralta were big back in the days. They you know, Powell and Peralta, they used to skate in competitions, and then they started a skateboard selling company, and they signed Lance Mountain, they signed Tony Hawk, they signed Steve Caballera, they signed the first black skater, Steve Stedham, you know what I'm saying? And so they had all of the like top skaters except Christian Hosoi. Christian Hosoi could get hired than anybody, and he was not affiliated with Powell and Peralta. He was like their competition. So it was crazy to watch. But Mike Miguel and even Rodney Mullen skated for Powell and Peralta. So it was like all of the top dogs of skated for them. You know what I'm saying? My mom was an artist at the time, and she designed me my own custom board. I was like one of the only kids rocking a custom board by myself.
Nice. Now you lived in Long Beach?
I was born and raised in Long Beach. I stayed in Long Beach almost until the lifetime I left. By the time I left, I lived in Anaheim, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I wasn't far from Knott's Berry Farm, but man, that sucked, bro. I couldn't stand it. And so I was begging my mom to let me move to Chicago. I want to move my grandmother. I want to go back to Chicago. I want to go to Chicago. I want to go to Chicago. And I guess I drove her half crazy, and she finally let me go.
Okay, so you was out there then when the movie Breaking came out in '84.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I met those guys. I ran into them a couple of times. See, at the time I was breaking, I was with a younger crew, and I used to go to Venice Beach and the Queen Mary to perform. I don't know if you ever heard of the singing group The Boys.
No.
Okay, well, it was a singing group that got popular. They were kind of like New Edition. And Hakeem and me were in the same breaking crew, and we used to practice a lot. And then his grandmother named Granny, she was the one who pushed for them to get into TV and get their music on the radio, and they ended up becoming really popular. They had the song Down My Heart or whatever. But during that time, me and Hakeem was just breaking. And so he was getting known all over the circuit because he was really, really good. He was the gymnast.
Okay.
So he was like, he could do everything.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then I had more style. And so me and him used to kind of challenge each other a lot, but more so, he was so known that it got us into the circles. And I saw Ozone, you know, I saw Turbo. I saw them cats like probably every 3 or 4 weeks, you know what I'm saying? When we go to Venice Beach, they pop up. And it was a real small community of breakers in Cali. It wasn't like huge yet. You know what I'm saying? It got huge after breaking. But initially, it was a very small circle.
So what year would you say that was for you when you got into the dance part?
The dance part, after I met Craig, so it was like maybe like 84, 85.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I you know, around 11 years old, I was pretty official. By the time I was 13, I was cold. You know what I'm saying? I could do damn near everything Hakeem could do. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I would go to parties and it'd be mostly all white kids. And when we be at like a school dance or something, everybody would be like just kind of messing around, doing a new dance, the WAP and all that kind of shit. And then like all of a sudden, sometimes somebody will just be like, man, you know, he could break. And then they put me in, I'd be in the middle of a circle just dancing like by myself because nobody else really was skilled. So it would just be all these people watching me like I was a damn performer. But yeah, but it was interesting. It was an interesting time of my life. But I definitely found a super love for hip hop, and then eventually I started getting into the other elements.
Okay, so when did you move to Chicago?
All right, I moved to Chicago in my 8th grade year. It was a wild transition. I had so many fantasies about Chicago because I would show up around family reunions, and then I'd be b-boying with my cousins, Nino and Nero. They were both really, really good, and we would challenge each other or whatever. And then I knew a couple other people that could break, and you know what I'm saying? It just was so live here, and it was like it was so many more breakers, and it was so much more of an active scene. I saw graffiti everywhere. In Cali at the time, you saw graffiti, but it was only like in the slums.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. And so it was everywhere out here. And so I was just like, man, the scene is crazy. So I got here in my 8th grade year. Me and my cousin Doug both moved from Cali. He moved first, and then I couldn't take it no more. I begged and begged my mom till she let me go. And I moved here in my 8th grade year, and it was a shell shock. Because
now what year was that though?
That was 1989.
Okay, 89. Okay,
I'm aging myself. I'm trying not to age myself. You tricky son of a gun. But yeah, that was 1989. Okay. And I was in 8th grade, and I was shell shocked because I got here under the assumption that everything was gonna be just like it was in Cali. I came here in Vans, you know, with kind of skinny jeans on, a matching jean jacket with some airbrush on it. And that was not cool in Chicago at the time. You know what I'm saying? People was like, are you gay? You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. You know, I rode a skateboard down the street to school. People they thought I was from Back to the Future or some stuff. People, like, I went from California where people called me Black Chris, right? That, you know, my name is Krishna, but everybody calls me Chris. And so people were calling me Black Chris or Black Skater Chris, you know what I'm saying, to identify me. And then as soon as I landed in Chicago, I became white boy and Mexican.
Wow.
I couldn't understand it. It was so baffling to me because in one place I'm black, and now in this new place I'm white.
Right.
Like, how did the fuck did that happen? So that transition was crazy, but it also was like a lot of gang stuff going on.
Yeah.
And when I got here in 8th grade, and I guess that's the age when they do a lot of recruitment and stuff like that. And my neighborhood was one particular gang, and I didn't get along with a lot of them because, of course, they was talking about me, you know, from the jump. From when I got here, you know, they were saying stuff about my clothes, about, you know what I'm saying, everything. It's funny because you fast forward years later and everybody's dressing like me, but, you know what I'm saying, back then it was not hot to be in those tight fitting jeans and Vans and you know what I'm saying.
So you didn't have a gang problem at all when you was in California?
No, I mean, so gangs in California, it's weird. Like they showed a lot on TV, you know what I'm saying? So y'all believe something that was a false narrative. But like in Compton, there was some gangs. In the jungle, there was pockets, you know, because of crack sales. It was everywhere. You had more Mexican gang bangers in California than anything. But for the most part, it wasn't really a gang infested place. You know what I'm saying? Like I had my crew of skaters, but I never ran into no damn Bloods the whole time I lived in Long Beach. Oh wow! I never seen no damn Crips except for if I went to, you know, visit my dad in LA and we went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles or something. But aside from that, you don't see that stuff nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's like pockets. You know what I'm saying? You got to go look for it there. When I landed in Chicago, it looked for me. And it found my ass. You know, but and so, you know, I got into some stuff like after 8th grade, like during the summer before high school. I started getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I started running with the crowd, doing some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so it was weird to be like impacted and go in that direction from where I was from. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so like people were looking at me weird. People that knew me was like, man, that ain't you. You know what I'm saying? But I was still going along with it. I wanted girls. Right. I wanted to appear like the cool people, the cool kids or whatever. So I just kind of like dropped what I was really into. And to a large extent, even though I was authentic, I went and got blessed in. I did my little dirt and all that kind of stuff. But I was kind of perpetrating in a way because, you know, that wasn't really me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so even though I went full fledged with it, it never felt right. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to the meetings and all that stuff. It just all felt like food, you know?
Mm-hmm. Did you join because of peer pressure or what? Why?
See, people blame it on peer pressure, but I think it's more so like it's self pressure. Okay. Like me, I was more like, I'm not finna be the outcast. Mm-hmm. Like I understand I'm in a different environment. They talk different. They dress different. They feel different. You know what I'm saying? And I had never really been engulfed in an all African American community. I was from a mixed community that was mostly white. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so it was weird. It was a weird transition, but I had to like embrace everything that was Black that felt authentic to me. Mm-hmm. And so although the stuff was negative, it felt real. Mm. And so it was a lot of self-pressure. I went looking for trouble. It didn't go, it was like, it was gangsters all around my neighborhood, but I went to another neighborhood and got blessed in. I came back to my neighborhood and I'm an op in my neighborhood. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. And so it was one of those things, you know, but by my sophomore year in high school, I had got transferred. I got kicked out of Julian my freshman year because I was doing all types of nonsense. And then by my sophomore year, I was at this school called Tabernacle Christian Academy. I was forced to go there. It was the only school that would accept me because of the garbage I did my freshman year. And so I had to pay, my mom had to pay a tuition there, and I ran into Ron Fest there. Okay. That was the first time like I had ever met him. You know what I'm saying? He was a grade below me, I believe. Okay. And so anyway, me and Che, we got cool, but you know, he was rapping and into rap, and I was just starting to kind of peek my head into hip hop. Right. Again, because I had ran into Dero. Mm-hmm. You know Dero, right? Yes. Uh-huh. All right. So I went to my cousin's little school party at CHAS, Chicago High School of Agricultural Science. Mm-hmm. And at that party, it was cool, but you know what I'm saying, I'm still kind of like got a chip on my shoulder. It's the summertime between freshman and sophomore year, and Dero was like, hey man, you might want to come check out the Blue Gargoyle. Them parties, you'll like it. The music way better. We play, you know, everything, Tribe, EPMD, De La Soul. And I'm like, damn. All right. So I went to the Blue Gargoyle, and my first time there changed my life.
Wow.
Back, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I had fell in love back with hip hop. I saw people in there breaking. I saw people in there with markers tagging. You know what I'm saying? It was like my people again.
Right.
It's like
right.
being lost and away from your tribe for a long time, and then just somehow you don't know any of these guys, but they doing everything that your tribe do.
Right. Right.
And so
right.
it was over with. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't think I went to one more gang meeting after that.
Wow.
And it's weird too, because okay, so Tabernacle Christian Academy sits in the middle of Racine Courts.
Uh-huh.
Racine Courts at that time was full of gangsters.
Okay.
Full of gangsters. People I had been into it for years with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For at least 2 years.
Right.
I've been into it with these guys. I had my clothes on. My clothes had changed. You know, I started wearing backpacks. I started wearing looser gear, polo. I wore a tie to school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They couldn't even see me, bro.
What?
Like I had become invisible to people that was at my neck like 3-4 months earlier.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? That's how much of an absolute change it was. I think that it was my core had changed so much that it just kind of like it lifted outside of me, and people couldn't even recognize me from the old me.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could see it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So that was my transition back into hip hop. Dero is responsible for that. Craig is responsible for me first getting into hip hop. So I try to always, you know, pay homage to people who show me the path. You know what I'm saying?
Now, how did you come cross paths with Dero?
That's what I'm saying. I went to that party at Chaz. He went to Chaz.
Oh, okay, I see.
And when I was there, I was kind of trying to dance and I was playing around, but he could see that I could really like dance. I wasn't doing none of that footwork stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was like dancing like a hip hop person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he could see it, and he was just like, "Man, I know where you like it at. You know what I'm saying? You need to go check this out." And after that, like I started stringing along all of my people. Like first I took my cousin Nero, then I took my cousin Demi, then I took my cousin Nino. I was taking them to Dim Dare parties, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just exposing them to a different life.
Right.
And you know, eventually everybody came around. And the odd thing about it is I transferred back into Julian my junior year.
Uh-huh.
And before I graduated, we had damn near flipped the school.
Wow.
From a gangbanging school to a hip hop school. Real shit.
Well, now let's talk about that, because I mean, you all started the crew at Julian, correct?
At Julian, correct.
Okay.
So it started the beginning of my senior year. Everybody kind of knew me there again, but as this new person, as hip hop Chris, I had blonde dreads, and you know what I'm saying. I was, you know, I was into the cause full time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything I did was centered around hip hop. If I left the crib and went on the bus, I'm tagging.
Right.
If I get somewhere, I'm breaking. If I'm sitting somewhere talking, I end up rapping. You know what I'm saying? Everything I'm doing is hip hop centered or whatever. Oh, shit. Somebody text me.
Uh-oh.
What we talked about earlier.
They might have a question.
Yeah, so I remember the first person that kind of challenged me was my buddy Rodney.
Okay.
He was like, "I heard you could rap," and then he started spitting a verse at me in the hallway, and somebody was banging on the wall making a beat, and you know they put me on the spot. I spit a little something, but for the most part, I was like, "Man, you cold, you nice, you got it." You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't really into that part of hip hop. Like I'll battle you on a b-boy floor, but I wasn't really into battle rapping because I don't like insulting people. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I never felt that part of it, you know?
Okay.
And so I talked to Rodney after that, and Rodney had talked to my cousin Nero that went to the school. And Nero, buddy of mine, Skeep, and Rodney were all talking about forming a crew. Now, at the time, I already had a crew. I was in a b-boy crew. You know what I'm saying? We was gonna call ourselves all pro breakers or all city breakers.
Okay.
And it consists of this guy named Cleo from the north side. I don't know if you know Phil Riviera.
Yeah, I know Phil.
We was talking about Phil and Oscar jumping down, and we was just trying to accumulate like some of the different breakers and break styles of the city and just kind of merge them into one. Right. You know what I'm saying? Jelly Bean, you know, he was talking about jumping down. That's Freddie Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to gather up like the best breakers, and we was gonna have the best breaker crew, and that was gonna be it. We go everywhere. We was gonna be on the brickheads' butts. We was gonna be on everybody paws. We was gonna be on everybody back. You know what I'm saying? Trying to battle anything and everything to touch the floor in a party.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, for some reason, that didn't never happen.
Okay.
But a lot of those guys end up coming over to Euphonics. So Rodney, Skeet, and my cousin Nero, they started the crew. They were the founders. And Rodney was basically trying to make it an all rap crew because Euphonics means pleasing to the ear.
Right.
That's what the term means. And so it was supposed to be mostly centered around music making. My cousin Nero, he could rap, but he wasn't, you know, that wasn't his forte. He was a b-boy like me, but he had helped start the crew. Skeet, he was always a jack of all trades. You know, he did graffiti, he break, he DJ, he rap, he do everything. At a really good level. Right. And so Skeet was a force to be reckoned with. And so it was just them three. And to me, it was like my cousin Nero was like, man, you should join. And I'm like, yeah, the only way I'm going to join is if I can get Delroy, if I can get old boy Cleo from up north, if I can get so-and-so, I want Leon, you know what I'm saying? And I'll just start naming all these cats that I break with. And I'm like, and I still want to go to circles and destroy them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then so when we jumped down, next thing you know, my cousin that was a DJ, Doug, wanted to join. And then all of his friends and his circles, they used to have a crew called Vigilante Posse in his neighborhood. And basically all of them joined. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, we 70 strong.
Right.
Within 3 months. And we having meetings at my house because it was kind of the closest to Julian and it was central where people that lived further in the suburbs, people that lived in Beverly, people that lived in Hyde Park, and people that lived like, you know, further south could all kind of like meet there. That was like the middle ground to a large extent because everybody was south side, but it was like too far in the hundreds would be too far. We was on 102nd, so it was like it was perfect for south suburbs, Beverly, you know what I'm saying, the east side and Hyde Park. And so that's kind of how it worked out. You know, like y'all chose the Terror Dome because that was like the center of the south side of the city. We chose my crib because number one, my grandmother allowed it. Right. And then number two, you know, I was the first person that kind of like spent my money to get my basement redid. You know what I'm saying? So when I got my basement redid, I had the freedom to spray paint it, to put down linoleum, to play loud music. You know what I'm saying? I let my friends come over and smoke weed and cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was that kind of freedom that allowed us to have our meetings and our crew to just blossom the way it did.
Right. Yeah. So now, what year did the crew form?
Our crew formed in 1993.
Okay.
Yeah, in 93, our crew formed. It was in the beginning stages of forming at the end of 92, but we came into full crew grow mode in 93, and we established ourselves pretty quick. Because like when we would go to Columbia parties or Darien parties or anybody's events, we would show up really deep, and we would like try to kind of control the narrative of the party.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's how we got known really, really fast. And then some people say we was pretty boys and all that kind of stuff. I know girls liked us, but I don't think that was our strong suit. I think that we was tough, because we Okay, so we had a maturation process.
Okay.
Like in order to get in Euphonics, you had to audition.
Okay.
And you would have to be proficient in at least one thing. You have to be like excellent in at least one element of hip hop.
Right.
Be it breakdancing, graffiti, rapping, DJing, making beats. You know what I'm saying? You had to be awesome at one of them, and then try to learn the other elements. You know what I'm saying? While you were part of the crew. Right. Right. And so most people didn't just slip through the cracks. It wasn't a whole bunch of fashionable hip hop people in our crew. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was people that actually dedicated themselves to the skills. Right. Right. Yeah. No, I think like I know for me personally, when I met you guys, I think that's what kind of caught my attention. Mm-hmm. Not just the fashion, but the fact that you guys were open to the entire elements of the culture. Right. And see, sometimes that could cause a problem when some people want to try to dissect and separate the elements. Right. You know what I'm saying? You down with writing, but you're not down with rhyming. Right. Or you down with and that don't really make sense because it's like any other culture. It's like you can't be halfway Mexican. Right. You know what I'm saying? It just don't really work like that. Like you gotta have a sombrero. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You gotta eat some type of corn. You gotta know Spanish. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. And so it's like, it's a culture like any other culture. Yeah. And cultures have their elements. They have language. Yeah. They have fashion. They have music. They have food. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly. And you all had a good attitude too. Right. I think a lot of times where people miss the ball is when they try to be. You mentioned tough. I didn't perceive you guys as tough. Right. I perceive you guys as welcoming.
Yeah. Well, when I say tough, I just mean like tough on each other. Okay. Like we didn't like slackers. Right. We didn't want to throw a halfway party. Right. If we threw a party, we wanted it full of girls. We wanted it rocking the whole night, b-boy circles and people dancing with each other. Right. You know what I'm saying? We wanted everything. Right. And so we were very hard on people that were trying to join. And some people didn't like it and some people didn't make it. Yeah. It's a lot of cool cats, well-known cats that wanted to get in Euphonics that did not make it. Yeah. One being Kanye West, the biggest thing out there smoking. Yeah. He wanted in the crew and he didn't make it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have your requirements, and I think that's another important element to hip hop in general is when crews are formed, because hip hop, a big part of hip hop was the development of crews that created these individuals, right? And and every crew got its requirements. Right. You just can't get in a crew.
And it wasn't that Kanye didn't get in off the merits that he wasn't good at the stuff that he did. It was that he was unwilling to to be humble. Okay. To join. You know what I'm saying? Like we would have a probationary period. Uh-huh. And we didn't let a lot of people just skip the line. What people have to understand is it was some people that had to do a whole lot of work and had to, do a lot of jumping through hoops to get in our crew. Right. And what we look like just laying out the red carpet because you kind of popular. Right. You know what I'm saying? It don't work like that. Right. And so, yeah, but there's that. And so, I don't know. My crew is, a lot of us are still in tune with each other. We have lost one crew member, to not being alive anymore. Preston, he passed away about maybe 7-8 years ago, in a fire, and he had already gotten disabled, and so when the fire happened, he couldn't get out. But that's the only member that we've lost, thank God. And we got members that have health issues like myself, and we have members that have mental health issues, And you know what I'm saying? We got super famous members that people don't know are members, you know, like a lot of people don't know Sharkula is a member of Euphonics. A lot of people don't know, you know, Boogs, the number 5 producer right now in hip hop, is a Euphonics member. And, you know, Kevin Watson, film producer, you know what I'm saying? He's a Euphonics member. And so, you know, we have all types of members that are doing all types of things. And right now I'm kind of working on a screenplay of the Euphonics story.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
but
nice.
you know, that's in the works.
Nice. Yeah. So you guys started the crew the same year you guys joined the Chiraq Nation.
Yeah, we started the crew. It, like I said, it was at the end of '92, but it didn't really get official till the beginning of '93.
Okay.
We joined Chiraq in the fall of '93.
Right. Yeah.
Like after the school year had been wrapped up, and when we were going into the next year.
Now, how did you all find out about the Chiraq Nation?
So one night we call ourselves being making our mark on the B's and T's. We used to paint at this other location. It was right by the B's and T's.
Okay.
If you went past Olive Harvey, it was another wall, and we used to paint there because we was kind of toys. You know what I'm saying? And the only person that could really rock in our crew at that time was Skeet and Sing Jari.
Yes.
Everybody else, we was kind of just toys, to be honest.
Okay.
And so we was ashamed, and we didn't want to go mark up the B's and T's and not have something that look good. But we start getting better.
Right.
We start showing our stuff. And so we went to the B's and T's one night with my mom. We got my mom out there filming,
right,
and taking pictures and stuff. And we was working on a mural. Skeet and me were working on a mural, and a couple other guys was out there just smoking and watching, making sure no police came or nothing.
Right.
And we heard somebody else's can rattling. So we was worried, like, is this some spit stuff going on? Or, you know, what's gonna happen? We peep around the corner. My mom come there with the camera, and somebody I know was petrified for a split second. He thought the police and the DEA and everybody had showed up. And his name was Artistic.
Oh wow! Wow!
Yep.
Wow!
But
that's crazy.
We had been hearing about Chiraq prior to that.
Okay.
You know, because Chiraq was making a name for themselves.
Right.
A lot of our friends in other crews, friends that over at CBS, a girl named Heather that was in our crew was going to Chiraq meetings already.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so after we ran into you, it was kind of official. We politics for a second, and then you told us, you know, y'all was having a meeting at the Terror Dome the next week.
Gotcha.
And to come up there.
Wow. I'm glad you reminded me, man, because I totally forgot about it. I told, like, you know, when we had that phone conversation sometime back, you know, we were talking and you brought that back to my mind, because I kept trying to think, like, when did we meet and how did we meet? But I forgot it was at the B's and T's.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At the spot you established, my man. Yes, sir.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. But it makes sense, though.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, we admired the B's and T's from afar for a whole year.
Okay.
Because we weren't good enough to paint on them walls. And that's the type of respect that I know and I like about our crew. Like, we not finna halfway do something. We not gonna like mess up something that's already right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna paint over something that I can't paint better than.
Right.
And especially without the guy's permission.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we never did none of that disrespectful stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we respected the art. And so I felt like we don't belong at the B's and T's till we belong at the B's and T's.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. So yeah, and that's a good way to be, man. That shows that you got some integrity. You know? Yeah. You know, you guys were down since that day moving forward, because you know, I could feel that you guys wasn't the average type of, you know, because some guys come in and they just like to be troublemakers.
Yeah, no doubt.
You guys were a peaceful crew.
Yeah, no doubt. I
know?
mean, and it was because a lot of us had came through the fire already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I done shot guns. I done been shot at.
Right,
I don't want to keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? And people had been drug dealers and people had been arrested for violence and all types of stuff. And like, it's like you can't carry forward with that life without expecting the repercussions of that lifestyle.
Okay, so we got a question here, and I'm gonna let you answer it. So my brother right here, Phil, he said B's and twos. Elaborate, cause I'm sleep on that history.
All right, so from what I know, it was a crew called BCTO.
Mm-hmm.
They were like really, really good graffiti artists, a crew of them, and they bombed all over the place. Okay. But specifically, one guy wanted to establish an area that they could call their own. You know, most crews would do that. You know, you got Wall of Fame, you got, you know what I'm saying, crews that establish their spots, and it's mostly their spot, but they kind of share it.
Right.
You know, but they started it, they initiated. And so from what I do know, BCTO crew started that spot and they called it the B's and Twos because it was like the second brigade of where you spray paint, where their crew spray painted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
yes, and that's true. I mean, like, I actually went to school over there first.
Mm-hmm.
I went to, you know, after I got out of high school, I ended up going to college at Olive Harvey.
Okay.
And I remember when I would go to Olive Harvey, you know, and I live right up the hill. I live right. So when I would take the bus, you know, down to Olive Harvey, and it would go before it went into the school and into the parking lot, it would drive past those lots of walls. Mm-hmm. And I would always look over there like, you know, like this, like, whoa, you know, man, that looked like a nice little spot over there, you know.
So white, so clean.
And then one day I went over there and just to kind of test the waters, and then I was just like, oh yeah, this is a nice spot.
Oh yeah.
So we that's when we named it after the crew. So yeah. And so, you know, of course we wasn't gonna just, you know, be greedy and just try to paint all the walls to ourselves. We was like, man, we got to invite people down here to come make it a special spot, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was, and it was cool because you had the walls and you had the trains.
Yep.
You know,
so you could pick and choose. You could pick your poison. That's where we caught you on the train.
Okay.
You was doing a throw up on a train, my man. Criminal. You criminal.
Wow, that is so amazing, man.
Yep.
And it's funny when you talk to other people and they help remind you of some of the history that you may have forgotten about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But that was dope though.
Yeah.
That was a dope experience. Okay, so now fast forwarding to kind of like put things in all types of perspective. Me now as a person, I'm a father. I did drug prevention, gang prevention. Mm-hmm. I had basketball teams, AAU teams, so that I could mentor young men because we have a crisis going on out here. Right. In most major cities, we have young people being lured by the same demons that lured other young people from our time. You know what I'm saying? And it's just more perverse. The weapons are way worse now. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more damage being done to our community by like this way of thinking. And unfortunately, one of the mediums to push this narrative has been our culture. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not deep setted in the roots of our culture because our culture was established to kind of deter this stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. Hip hop was made to have an alternative to the street gangs, conflict resolution through breakdancing instead of fighting. You know what I'm saying? Bombing and getting fame that way, as opposed to getting like, you know, notorious for murders and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So all of our solutions for a lot of the characteristics that push prison numbers up and funeral numbers up, we helped dissolve with our culture. And because money became so heavily involved in our culture, it's kind of like the steering wheel got took by, you know, capitalists. And those capitalists don't mind sacrificing a lot of young Black lives due to like popularity. And so now we got to figure out a way to combat it. And I don't know if because, you know, we loved breakdancing. We loved graffiti. We loved DJing. We loved beatboxing. We loved our elements of hip hop because that was kind of our time. And I know with gray hair comes a lot of delusion that you think that new stuff isn't good. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us are deluded and believe that like there's nothing good about this new music. There's nothing good about, you know, the way these kids style and the stuff that they're on. And that's not really true. You know? We just have to figure out a way to embrace and help them uplift the brighter side of it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of like my newer mission is, number one, I'm decoding and understanding how their music works different than ours. You know what I'm saying? I'm also like involved with some artists, some younger, newer artists that are presenting a new type of music that isn't as, you know, violent and charged with ops and guns and all that kind of stuff. But it's also not based off of our stuff. It don't sound like they in the 90s and they rapping off jazz driven beats or you know boom bap or none of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important that us now, we're the elders. We're the, you know what I'm saying? We're the elders in the tribe now. And so I think that it's really, really important for us to we don't have to embrace what they do, but we definitely got to stop dissing it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not helping. It's just causing a bigger gap between us and the people we're supposed to mentor.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's just like in my mind, I look at it just like a parent and a child. You know, now there's a huge generation gap right there. But at the end of the day, the parent and the child are still family, right? So even though they have years ahead and behind each other, they still have to find a way to work as a family unit.
Correct.
You know, the parent has got to understand the child, and the child has got to understand the parent. So
exactly,
that only happens by communication,
and it definitely don't happen by dissing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't there's no like, okay, like we could just take it to a different element. Basketball. You can't expect a kid to respect your opinion about Jordan if you don't respect their opinion about Steph Curry. You understand?
Oh yeah.
Because that's their hero. Their heroes are Ja Morant's, are Kyrie's. You know what I'm saying? Because these are the people that are the best in their time.
Exactly.
And so, you know, when we try to force our opinion of there's nothing but Jordan, you know, it just kind of leaves a sour taste, and it makes it so you can't really talk basketball with them.
You know
what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
And so the way I figured out how to lead by example is by, you know, I went to film school. I first went to barber school, and then I went to film school. You know, and of course, you know, I'm a barber, but I've been going in the direction of film lately. And so I've made a couple like parodies just to play around and see how good I am at directing and learn and sharpen my tools in directing or whatever. Because I went to school for continuity. I was a continuity specialist. But I've since grown into wanting to be a director. And so now I'm looking at making movies because, you know, the films that are being pushed by our culture right now are all like gangster and drug driven. You know what I'm saying? From Power to BMF to, you know what I'm saying? You know, just about any one of these shows that's African-American shows, if it's not Tyler Perry pushing something else, it's, you know, it's movies broadcasting and kind of making like making it cool and fashionable to be killers and dealers and shit. And so I'm kind of sick of it because that's not the narrative and the story that I had. That was 1 year of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why I'm as old as I am, because I didn't make it 3 years of my life.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, I believe that the best way to change narratives a lot of times, because I look at Beat Street and Wild Style, they changed my life.
Right.
So I know that the impact of films is huge.
Oh yeah.
On cultures, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if you can tie in what I believe, the Euphonics story and a couple other ideas and stories I have, if you can tie in narratives of, you know, how things were and why they were, you can kind of change people's mentality and reality.
Okay.
If you can show them like, this is how this worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that a lot of people that watch Air feel different about their Michael Jordan shoes now, because they have more information about it.
Right.
They have more insight. They feel more like, you feel more grouped in and a part of the story.
Right.
As opposed to just being a fan of some sneakers. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like any other culture, like sneakerhead is a culture. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like all cultures deserve their story to be told.
Right.
And those stories can help heal some of the issues that we have, like right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I'm looking at it like from a perspective of being older, of having health issues. Like, you can't be preachy. I don't want to be preachy, to children, because I know how that works too.
Right.
I didn't listen to none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That wasn't what changed me.
Right. Let's step back just a little bit, because it's right in harmony with what you're talking about in regard to film.
Go ahead.
But you guys were part of a project in the 90s that was connected to TV, you
Correct.
know, and I have a photo here I'm gonna show. So this is a photo of you and the crew with Connie.
Yes, sir.
So talk about this project for those that may not be familiar with it.
Okay, so when our crew first started like getting resources, you know, when we started changing over to being party throwers and promoters, we were also involved with non-for-profits. And that one in particular was Chicago Roseland Coalition for Community Control. And my mother worked there. And so I had did this this Hotline 21 show with my cousin Nero for the Nation of Islam. And it was me, my cousin Nero, and do you know Scoop Jackson?
Yes.
Scoop Jackson. We all were doing this show together.
Right.
And so it was a hip hop based show. It was a hip hop news show, and it was kind of to push the narrative of Islam and, you know, the Nation of Islam and how it supported positive hip hop.
Now, do you remember when that show started, when you all launched that?
That show was 1991.
91, okay.
Yep, that was 91. So we had stepped away from that show in 92. It got sponsored by Van Grack, and they kept wanting us to mention stuff, and it just became about us trying to sell Final Calls and bean pies, and that really wasn't, you know, our thing. You know what I'm saying? And so we declined the second season. But my mom, when we were forming the crew and we started first having meetings, my mom was like, hey, why don't you use the 501c3 and do your own show?
Okay.
That you can use my 501c3 for the company I work for.
Okay.
And as long as you're doing something positive and it's positively affecting Roseland, then it falls under our umbrella and we can fund it. And so there you had it. So we were the second people because Channel Zero had already started before us.
Right.
Danny and Cootie.
Right.
And so they had already started doing their show prior to us, but we didn't have any knowledge of that. You know what I'm saying? They were doing the Channel 19 show.
Right.
And we did Channel 21. We stepped into doing a little bit of live broadcast too, when we interviewed like Special Ed, the Wu-Tang, and a couple other people. But for the most part, our show was a live show like this.
Right.
It was kind of like the first podcast.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and then people could call in too. I remember.
Yeah, it was a call-in live podcast for the most part.
Yeah,
but it was just done through cable network on Hotline Channel 21, and we decided early on when we first did it. So at the time, I was tagging the name, like you said, I got 1,000 names. I was tagging the name "What's Up."
Right.
At that time. And so my mom was like, just call it the What's Up Show. Because my mom always wanted me to be famous and be in the front of the crowd. I never really wanted that. I always kind of like laying in the cut for the most part. But my mom would push. So I ended up, with my own damn show. But I didn't want that. So eventually what I changed it to was, I changed my name and let it be the What's Up Show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I changed my name to Oric. You know that.
Right.
Under the great Orco, who I used to abound with, and I used to just sit up and be in awe of how cold he was.
Yes,
and
sir.
He was wild as hell, and he was cold, and I was in awe of him. So I kind of bit his name a little bit, but changed a few letters because I liked the way his O's and R's looked.
Yeah.
Especially on throw ups.
Right.
And so I was like, man, I gotta have an O and R.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I never knew that either.
Yep.
I never knew that little point.
And I always, every time I saw Orco to this day, when he drunk as hell, I still be like, I owe my whole graffiti. He's like, I know, you was my little rugrat. You know how he is.
Yeah. So that was a good show. And as a matter of fact, I had connected with some people down at Can TV.
Okay.
To come back and do a more up-to-date interview.
Okay.
Because we did the mural project down there in 93. Yep. And from what I understand, it stayed there.
We did a lot of stuff in 93, didn't we?
Yes, I did. Sure did. Sure, yeah, 93 was a good year.
It's crazy. I wasn't born yet, but it's crazy.
But I mean, when we did the wall project, the mural project in 93, that mural stayed there for many years, I understand.
Yeah.
And then when they relocated, of course, they got rid of it, but I didn't know that it had stayed up for so many years.
It was there when I revisited. This was in sometime in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It was still up. And it's still, the crazy thing is they don't age like they age on the streets.
Yeah.
They still look pristine.
Yeah.
They don't age well on them streets.
Yeah.
No that was how beautiful the murals are.
That was a lot of fun doing that project together.
Yep.
And then what was the connection with the other project that we did up in Roseland outside?
Right. That was through Chicago Roseland Coalition. Okay. So what happened was they had got approved for the Imperial. I don't know if you remember this, but it's crazy. So Clinton had got the empowerment zones approved.
Uh-huh.
And the empowerment zones was, I think, 70 million for inner cities, 70 billion for inner cities to reconstruct and bring, economic, food, grocery stores, and resources back to poverty-stricken communities.
Okay.
And so the empowerment zones was supposed to be this great thing. And, we were advocating for and pushing. The majority of all that budget went to gentrification.
Okay.
So that became the gentrification budget.
Right.
So you wouldn't get approved for those loans unless you was building a Starbucks and getting rid of some project people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Wow. But that was the first we got approved for a grant under the empowerment zone at Chicago Roseland Coalition. And that's what gave us that opportunity to paint outside and make a little money.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was another fun wall project.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we all got paid what, $14 an hour or something?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I still got some pictures of that production we did too.
I remember when that was a good paycheck. Now you can't get a kid to work at McDonald's for 15 an hour. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more to kind of give and paint this picture for some people that may or may not know. But Euphonics was also not just a group full of men.
Mm-hmm.
You also had a female branch. Can't you
Well,
explain
okay,
that a little?
so initially we had one female in our crew.
Okay.
It's only been one Euphonics female ever.
Okay.
And her name was Heather.
Okay.
Dia. And you know what I'm saying, she did graffiti for the most part, but she also could break.
Right.
And so Heather, it would always kind of be weird because other girls had auditioned, but none of them would ever make the cut because they wouldn't want to go under they wouldn't want to be under supervision or prolong their acceptance. So we had probably about 30 girls audition, and only Heather didn't audition. We ended up seeking her. Okay. But 30 girls auditioned and none of them made the cut. But I always felt like that was a flaw.
Okay.
Like it was a major flaw of our crew that all we had was one woman involved.
Right.
Besides my mother, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We only had one member that was female. And I was just like, yeah, this ain't really cool,
Right.
And so what me and my mom decided was that we did have girls that were affiliated with us, that would be around, that would help with parties, that would come to all the parties, that was cool, that were talented, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, why are we not having these girls associated with us when they're doing everything to be associated with us?
Right.
And so my mom came up with the idea that she wanted to launch a female crew, and I supported it and I helped name it. Okay. And so then we scouted out a certain group of girls that was already kind of associated with us anyway. Ari, Ramel, they had hosted the show, right? And both of them were really talented, you know what I'm saying? And then there were other girls, Nikita, you know what I'm saying? She did fashion and drawing fashion stuff. And it was just a lot of different cool girls that was in the crew. And my cousin Karuna kind of helped establish them, and she would run the meetings with them. But yeah, we had a female counterpart and it was called Euphoria.
There you go.
Because we used the same EUP. So like I had told you, I wasn't really happy with the name Euphonics. I didn't really want to be in that crew because it was like all about rapping. And at the time I wasn't even really on that. You know what I'm saying? I had stopped rapping. And so I was like, why am I part of a rap crew? And I'm a B-boy. This don't make no damn sense, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? So eventually the crew kind of like, it didn't separate, but a lot of us just started going by EUP. Okay. Earthly United Peace. Okay. And that just meant we was embracing all of the elements, and it wasn't just about euphonics and sounding good. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, there was a lot of members that was kind of falling under that umbrella. And once we established the EUP thing, we kind of just wanted anything associated to be with those same EUP letters. So Euphoria fit perfect.
Nice. Yeah. And how did you all come up with the symbol?
All right, so I believe that was probably Rodney. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody in the world can't do that, right? But some people can. Yeah. And so Rodney thought it was the dope, live long and prosper. Right. You know what I'm saying? A dope symbol to have. So that became like, instead of having these or these or that, you know what I'm saying, any of that, we had that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Which meant you was EUP, you know what I'm saying? And long live and prosper, live long and prosper, you know what I'm saying? Right. And that's what we was about. And then so Euphoria didn't have that same sign, believe it or not. Oh. They had this one.
Let me see.
Where's my camera at? There it is.
Oh. What the pinky was out? Yep. Oh.
That was Euphoria.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yep. And so, and then eventually when Euphonics broke up, you know what I'm saying, like most crews do, right. some of us were still in harmony with it. So I had kind of transitioned into being more so a party promoter and party thrower. I was working with Domingo.
Okay.
And then you had Eric Malone. He was working with John Monopoly in them.
Okay.
And John Monopoly and Domingo were like ops, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here I am. I'm doing everything with Domingo. I'm at the Mercedes Club and Club Otis's. And then you got the Dragon Room with Eric and John Monopoly. And you know what I'm saying? It was just a mess at that time. And so Eric had decided, because everything was kind of like breaking up. I think the first person that pulled it was Rodney. He had started doing IC No C, and he had mostly did that under the umbrella of his music. He had a label, and they were doing music, and they was coming up. Things was falling in place, and so, but it was very exclusive. It was him, Doug, Fonz, and GY, and they were all IC No C, and they was with Kevin Brown, and they had their own studio, and we couldn't really go to their studio. And so like it left people like me, Boog, and a lot of other people in the crew on the outskirts, you know what I'm saying, as far as music was concerned. And so we went in a different direction. Eric formed Stars, and that was the kind of first big breakup of Euphonics. The Stars crew was me, Ari, it was Courtney. Courtney was Boog's best friend, but he never officially had got in Euphonics. He would be at the meetings. He would be there. He'd been around for years. He hung with us, went to all the parties, but Euphonics was funny like that. If you wasn't in, you wasn't in. You know what I'm saying? He even would do the handshakes, but he was not. He technically was not a member. You know what I'm saying? And then same thing with D. Lenore. D. Lenore was Eric's best friend.
Okay.
And he would be at the meetings. Sometimes he'd have to wait upstairs. You know what I'm saying, during the meetings. And because it was weird. We was, like I told you, we were hard like that. You know what I'm saying? We was tough like that. It was like tough love. You know what I'm saying? But then D. Lenore was in Stars. This girl named Shiloh and Jennifer, they were in Stars. They were also host the What's Up show for a couple years. And so Eric, he got basically all the pretty faces or the people with good public relations into one group. And we started throwing parties and events, and eventually we formed Euphonics was the crew that I made of the young people. Shout out to you new fans out there, y'all know who y'all are. They simple was like that.
Yeah.
And then Precious, that was Eric's project, and his project lasted long. He did 3 generations of Precious.
Oh wow.
And so they were really, he got the most popular girls in each high school. Whitney Young, Kenwood, each, like Simeon, the banger high schools, he got all the popular girls, and they threw parties that were kind of like Jack and Jill parties.
Nice.
And he was extremely successful. They were the only parties that topped our parties at the Hyatt. They had bigger and badder parties than us at the Hyatt. Yeah. So shout out to Eric Malone and Precious.
Malone.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, I mean, throughout all these years, man, I look back and I say, I really like the impact and the paths we crossed. I got great friendships with people like Rashid, people like Rhyme Fest. You know what I'm saying? I know Kanye, even though I don't get along with him. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's a lot of relationships, good, bad, and in between, and indifferent, that I have due to my legacy with Euphonics, and I owe that to my brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I love them all. We still, some of us still get into it. I've been blocked by some members before. When I run into Sharkula, he be acting like he don't like me. His little crazy butt.
What was the name? What was the name of the little shorty? And I know you know who I'm talking about. And I forget what his name was, but when we used to come over to your house and go in the basement and practice, he was like the youngest guy in the
John Quill.
Okay, there you go.
John Quill lives in Japan.
Oh, really?
He speaks fluent Japanese. He's been living in Japan for like 9 years now.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
He's still into hip hop. You know, you go to Japan, that's a hip hop nostalgia world. They actually doing footwork, Chicago footwork now in Japan.
Oh, nice.
That's a huge thing. It's a huge little subculture in Japan now of Chicago footworkers.
Wow.
Yeah, they be playing them old DJ Chip mixtapes. You know, you get an old one of them and take it over there, you gonna get some money for it.
Okay.
Yeah. For all those who have collected DJ Chip or Gantman tapes over the years.
Nice. That's what's up. So what's your plan? I mean, we're in 2023 now, and we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. 2023, 50 years of hip hop, and I'm only like 30 some years old. It's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Man, a lot of times happened. A lot of things went in place. Went by, man. I think I was like 2 when I met you at the B's and Dudes.
Shout out to your mom too, man, for being such a good sports.
No doubt,
sports lady, because she was always there, very supportive, man.
Yeah, she went on crime sprees with us. I can't even lie. Like when we would go bombing, she'd be right there filming.
Yeah.
That was hey, I'm not that type of parent.
Right.
I'm not finna be doing that credit card stuff with my son.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think that was another thing that just made it so cool because you had such a cool mom.
Yeah,
that showed a lot of support for not just you, but the members.
Well, my mom had her own love story with hip hop. First of all, the same crib that we had a meeting at, my mom used to host Black Panther Party meetings there.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
My mom worked for Jed and Ebony as a photographer, and she would be a host. So like when the Jacksons came into town, she would show them around the city and keep them on low profile.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She did that for a number of years. And so she has her own, she's kind of like Harry Belafonte in that way. Yeah. That she loved hip hop when she first saw it come into being.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She liked the movement from the 70s.
Right.
All the way through the 90s. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She still like hip hop today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, you know, she's an interesting person in that way, in that aspect. You know, it's not a lot of people like I found that's one thing that I can really say I relate to my mom in. Like I listen to a lot of the new music, you know, even now, you know, I listen to the stuff the kids be doing and I dig it. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of it is dope. A lot of it is different. You know what I'm saying? They got their own sound and style. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it. And I understand that from the perspective of my mom. Like I end up in the basketball world because of my son.
Okay. Like
I end up coaching and traveling with teams and all types of stuff and meeting players that's in the NBA now. I know, have cut their hair, are friends with, you know what I'm saying? That's due to my relationship with my son, because that's what he was in love with. Like my mom knew I was kind of hip hop. She supported me in that. My son was basketball. I supported him in that. And so it ended up getting me down a different road that I hadn't traveled before.
Okay, so let's see. Did you have any music that you'd like to share with us before we
I do, but I don't know if I want to play it per se.
Okay.
You know, I didn't get to connect my speakers and stuff.
Okay.
But I do have a SoundCloud. I'll just play this in the background.
Okay.
That's one of my songs. So I go by Cali Grown, BCTO, which means the Chi-Town Zone. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like my rap career, my rapping began and came from Chicago.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But that's one of my joints there. Oh my God. That's my squad. We go hard. Oh my God. I'm in a spaceship. I'm in a race. In my bag. Locked in my safe. I play the ace in a wild crazy. Banged in the 80s. Okay, that's enough. That's showing my age.
So is that you say you have a SoundCloud
I have a
channel?
SoundCloud under Cali Grown, but Chi-Town's on. And then you know what I'm saying, I got some music about to be streamed on everything under DistroKid. You know what I'm saying? That's so I'm going through that now. I'm just waiting for my name to get approved by ASCAP.
Okay.
But yeah, so that I'm doing that, but I'm mostly working with this artist named Caden Wolf.
Okay.
And his music is more like, you know, the stuff that they do today, but it's not as derogatory or violent and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm rocking with Shorty, and his stuff is real good. And so that's kind of like what I'll be pushing for the next couple of months. Okay. You know, he got a album, a project. It's called Road Trip to Nowhere.
Okay.
And so it's dope. It's dope. Y'all gonna hear about it. It's getting we got a lot of promotional money, so it will be known. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's kind of like my focus right now. Me as an artist, I always liked writing. You know what I'm saying? I always liked the skill of putting words together and rapping, being like creative per se. But I never really pursued it when people wanted me to pursue it. You know what I'm saying? Like during probably like the late 90s, like 99, I was running with Infrared Music. Okay. Which a lot of people know is LEP Bogus Boys, Counting Mooney, you know, and you know, I was kind of rocking with them, and the person known as what's his name now, Hitmaker Young Berg. I used to do a lot of ghostwriting for him, and so you know, I was involved in that. And at the time, you know, they were pushing for me to become an artist, but I just never really felt like being in the forefront like that. Mm-hmm. I always kind of wanted to be behind the scenes. And so, I don't know. So for some reason, 2 years ago, I just felt like, you know, I wanted to make some music. Like, I wanted to make some music. I wanted some stuff to be out that I like, you know what I'm saying? Because I have weird thoughts, and I have weird ideas and different ways of rapping and stuff. And so like you guys will hear it, you know, but I like my SoundCloud, like I said, is Cali Grown, but Chi-Town's on. I got a lot of my songs, a couple other people's songs on there. You know what I'm saying? Some unreleased R. Kelly, believe it or not, on there. Wow. Yeah. And so I because I'm an admirer of music. You know, I'm not an admirer of R. Kelly, but but I am an admirer of music. So because I've always been a fan, you know what I'm saying? I take appreciation first. Yeah. I look at it in that way, where I appreciate it first. And then if I'm gonna make it, it's made from the stance of a person that appreciates it.
That's what's up. You know That's what's up. We got we got shout out to Verbally Diseased checking in. He say,
okay, what up?
Yeah. And shout out to my man Ski from Blase Blah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
This is a great interview. I always appreciated Chris' positivity and creativity. What a great
I appreciate that, brother.
Salute to his moms and the Euphonics crew.
No doubt. You too, my man. You too. Yeah. That's another talented brother, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Tego Ones.
Okay, what up, Tego?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, it's dope being part of a circle that's existed so long, full of so many like great people. Like, you know, like my thing is like a lot of people weren't lucky as me to have run across like some of the Chicago legends that some people will never know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, to me, I feel privileged to have been in the same breakdance circle with Waka and Baby Flex and Reg. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Remember the parties at 811 West Lake?
Yes, sir. Of course. Of course. Those are some of the dopest, grungiest parties. I remember the meetings at 811 West Lake. Yeah. And so the meetings preluded the parties, and the parties was cool, but sometimes we'd have better breaking sessions at the end of the meeting. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I don't know, man. I feel very privileged to have landed in Chicago in '89, and that's why I keep coming back here. Yeah, you know, all bullshit aside, it's like this is a violent city. It's got its problems. It's got poverty. It's got segregation, and it's got a lot of mental health issues as a city, but it's also a wonderful place. And I feel privileged that I grew up here. I was accepted here. I've raised my son here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I appreciate everybody I've run across, you know what I'm saying? From the people on the top, you know, that's living it up right now, to the people on the bottom that I still, you know, catch getting off the bus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But everybody, to me, everybody's dope. And people were giants. Like GQ is a giant to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it's like, you know, to have relationships and rapport with all these great people, it's like, I don't know. I know I believe in God. So, you know, I think that like God placed me in the perfect place at the perfect time with the perfect people. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's
and I'm privileged. I appreciate everybody that I've got to know throughout the years. I especially appreciate all the women that I've got to know.
That's what's up. You know, man, I'm glad to see that you still have a good sense of humor. That, you know, you still have a good smile, man. You know,
yeah, my teeth are still there.
Great laughter. You like that. That I think that's one of the main things that I felt, you know, connected to you with, because I have the same type of spirits too.
Yeah.
You know, be happy, have fun, enjoy yourself, embrace other people, acknowledge other people, right?
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about you and the crew, man. That y'all.
I mean, Michael Jackson said it best. You are not alone.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people down here with us.
Yeah.
And if you can't find humility and comfort into enjoying just the perspective of all these people, you crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I like to argue with people, and I like to embrace people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I like people.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's the job of being a person. I think that's the real job.
So, hey, in conclusion, what would you like to say to any up and coming artists that kind of maybe need to find their way? What would your words of advice be to them? Okay,
so from what I've learned from seeing Kanye to being nobody to a megastar, from watching, you know, Young Berg turn from Young Berg into hitmaker, from watching Boog in a basement, working hard on his craft. All I could say is, from what I've seen from success, is three things. Number one is dedication. Okay. You got to be really, really locked in and dedicated. You got to want it for real, and you got to push and pursue it under all extreme pressure, costs. You know what I'm saying? You got to be willing to sacrifice and all that stuff. Dedication is number one, is key. Okay. Number two is luck. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to be lucky enough to run into some of the right people at the right time, at the right moment, and advance your pawns. Push, you know, whatever agenda you got forward when you make these lucky moments happen in your life. So it's dedication and luck. And then last but not least, originality. You got to embrace, number one, who you are. Don't listen to another artist and utilize that as your influence. Don't listen to, you know, don't mock people. Don't try to be the next Lil Wayne. Don't, you know what I'm saying? And this goes for all forms of art. If you're a graffiti artist, you can look and appreciate artistics work, but don't make your letters like artistics.
Right.
Or you're lame, no matter how pretty they are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how beautiful they turn out.
Right.
You're a lame. You got to find yourself, your unique take on the earth, because everybody's like a snowflake. We all are different. We all come different. We all have different experience. We were all born in different spots, different times, and we need to embrace those experiences and push those into the world, because what you don't realize when you're making artwork, no matter if it's a painting, music, or, you know what I'm saying, dancing, there's somebody watching. And the person watching may need that, need that influence. And if you're regurgitating stuff that you're not being original about, you're not giving them a pure experience. That's true. That's what's causing all this bad cloning now. You know, this disruption in DNA, or these cancer cells are walking around with extendo clips and switches on guns because they're being influenced by cloning, by bad DNA, by people that are not being themselves. You know what I'm saying? And they're putting out music. Like, for instance, one of the saddest stories to me is Future. Future, right? His name is Future. That means like not now, but coming soon.
Right.
Like not the past, not now, but in the future, right?
Right.
He promotes all these drugs and he don't do drugs. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's terrible, bro.
Yeah.
And you too old for that. You almost our age. You are too old to be doing that, broski.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. You do not influence and send people off, especially on a path that you haven't chosen.
Yeah.
That's like retarded to me. And that's one of the problems in our culture now. We got too many clones. If you seen Beat Street, you know, dude bit a can and was not with the biting. He didn't like biters. We never liked biters. But for some strange reason, it's like that's what the industry pushes now and advocates for. The next Biggie, the next Tupac. When Tupac died, Tretch shaved his head and wore a bandana and took his shirt off.
Right.
What's his name? Ja, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Ja Rule.
Yeah.
Shaved his head, took his shirt off, put a bandana on. 50 Cent shaved his head. Well, he didn't shave it all the way off, but he put a bandana on and took his shirt off. It's like, bro, like, how many damn Tupacs do we need? DMX shaved his head, took his shirt off, put a bandana on. It's like, come on, man. You know, like, I was surprised a lot of people didn't just get fat because Biggie died. Right. Yeah. Why didn't we just have a series of fat rappers? You know what I'm saying?
And that's the cool thing about hip hop is that it's so much room for versatility.
Yeah.
Now there's a difference there's a difference to be inspired. Mm-hmm. Like you see something that you like and you be like, I like that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take bits and pieces and I'm gonna develop something different, right?
No doubt.
You know, but yeah, man, like you say, don't just capture the whole thing and then put your name on it, and you know that came from that person over there.
Exactly, bro. like as much as I liked your letters artistic, I would not do them. I will not do them because that's your style. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And if I can't come up with my style, I just got to put up throw up letters. That's just what it is.
And that was really a law. Like it was kind of like, you know, that's just like a no-no. Like again, like you can be inspired. You can see something that you like and be like, ooh, you know, let me see. Now, how can I, first of all, can I mimic it? And then once you can mimic it, now can you develop it?
Put my own twist on it.
Exactly.
Make it mine.
Exactly. Yeah. See,
so that would be my 3 things for a up and coming new young artist. Okay. You know, drive, luck, and originality.
That's what's up. So how can people connect with you, man, for those that don't have your connection?
Well, most people, it looks like most people are my Instagram friends because I got thousands of them. Okay. Some people like me on Facebook too. I got about 5,000 some hundred followers.
Okay.
But aside from that, like I got a phone number, but I'm not gonna give it out.
Okay. So, but I mean, but your social media handles.
Yeah, my social media. You know, you can find me under Cali Grown, BCTO on Instagram. You can find me under Sneakerheads on Instagram. You can find me under Chris the Barber. On Instagram. You can find me Krishna Golden on Facebook. You can find me in a bunch of places with a bunch of names because I always got a bunch of names.
That's cool, and I'll have to connect with you on Instagram because I didn't know you was on Instagram under Cali Grown.
Yep.
So that's good. For sure. To know. That's good.
Yep. All right, man. Hey, this has been a great little interview, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your time tonight, and I appreciate again all your contributions over the years.
No doubt.
Look forward to some of your new projects that you're going to be releasing soon. You know,
I'm on it. You'll get wind of them for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna push this interview out and let as many people check it out as I know.
That's what's up, man.
All right,
Well,
thanks for the opportunity, Art.
Yes, sir. And we
It's
will
always
be
been
back.
love.
Yes, we'll be back again next Friday with another special episode. But until then, shout out to everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and
Euphonics.
Continue to rep your city, all right?
Euphonics, Shot Rock.
Shot Rock. Peace,
Let's
y'all.
do it. All right. Interview.